We have a good crew here tonight. I'm looking forward to having a chance to listen to Karin and talk about her experiences. Um, we've got a variety of folks that probably have been involved, or some who may have their own psychic abilities. I know some of you do. I think it's always interesting to hear somebody's experience, and there are different ways of going about connecting and getting information. And I think it's going to be wonderful to hear Karin. I know we have Bob Graham here. Bob is a holotropic breathwork practitioner who's introduced me to Karin. So I want to thank Bob for his involvement here. So let me turn over and get Karin online with us here. Karin, it's great to have you, and I would like to give you a chance to maybe before we get into a reading, just talk a little bit about how you got involved in this. What was it in your life? What point in your life did you feel that this was something that was a skill set and that you felt called to do this kind of work?
Well, thank you, Jim, and thanks to everyone for being here. You saw me disappear a moment ago because I felt so comfortable. I feel like I'm sitting in my living room with my closest, dearest friends. I did not anticipate this. I just feel a deep kinship with your group. So anyway, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
I do not consider myself a medium or a psychic or a medical intuitive. I use the term listener, and I listen to the people I speak with, and then I listen to who or whatever shows up for them on their behalf, and I just listen and tell the people what I'm hearing. My greatest work for myself is to stay out of the way and to, as much as possible, share what I'm hearing without my own filter or my own judgment or my own beliefs. And that leaves me often talking to people whose belief systems I don't share. And that doesn't matter because my role is simply to listen and tell them what I'm hearing. I once equated it with being like the UN interpreter. I don't get to change the message in any way. My job is to make certain that I have relayed that message as cleanly and as clearly as I hear it. As for history, I first consciously was hearing things at about age 4. I didn't know that it was different than what other people experienced. When I hit elementary school, probably a couple of years into that, I shut it down. Not so much consciously, but just I wanted to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to hear these funny things. And so it stayed largely under wraps. I went looking for it in my 20s, but I wasn't ready for it. So it did not come to me. It found me again in my 30s, my early 30s. I was working for the Catholic Church as a cantor. I was cantoring funerals, and I looked up and I would see the deceased person walking amongst the mourners or sitting in the back of the church, and they would often speak to me because they realized that I could see them. And very infrequently, I would say, afterwards when I was greeting the family, I might say some sort of veiled message that might be comfortable or comforting to them. But generally didn't feel led to go any further than that. Then my children were born, and I really shut it down because I wanted to be fully present as a mother. And then I had a life experience that kind of flipped me upside down, and it came back in full force. It could not be shut down, and I didn't want to shut it down. I was ready for it. And I think I was in my early 40s at that time. And I was just using it or experiencing it for myself. And the way it moved into the public realm is I was walking through a parking lot talking to a woman, and she asked a question. I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to know the answer. And I gave her the answer, and she whipped her head around and said, "How do you know that?" I was quite taken aback. And she said, "I'm calling you later." And thus began my practice of really trying to stay out of the way and just share what I hear. And that was, now I'm dating myself, that was probably almost 18 years ago.
Mhm.
And I've been doing it ever since. I don't promote myself. It's really only by word of mouth that people find me. I don't go seeking people out, even if I hear something about them, if it's a stranger on the street. Because one of my rules from, I call them my crew. And one of the sort of rules or ways of operating that they gave to me, and this is specifically me, it's not true for other people, is that I only answer when I am asked. And so even if I know something about someone, I don't divulge it unless they are asking me. Let's see. I think that's about it on history. Are we comfortable diving in?
It's fine with me.
Okay. I am not sure how this will go, because I know, Jim, we talked that this might be your reading.
Mhm.
I also have a very strong sense that the reading might well get hijacked.
I guess I kind of look at it and think, if it's for me, fine. If it's for somebody else, you're the vehicle for bringing the messages through, and let's just see what happens.
Okay. If everybody would with me, let's just sort of take a moment, take a few deep breaths, and kind of drop in, and let's see where we land. Okay. I think I'll say a few general things first, and Jim, we might get to you. Yeah, I guess we are going to get to you, they just said. I became aware as I was sitting here, and not from all of you, but from the crew, that I am in the presence of some people whose skill set, if you will, far exceeds mine. And I am truly honored, I would say, to be sitting with some deeply, deeply gifted healers, psychics, mediums. And I am also privileged to be sitting with a few of you who have not yet been able to step fully into gifts that you either wish you had or are not feeling the confidence to step fully into. And this message, there are at least 3 of you in this call who fall into that category. That's funny. And your crew just said, you know who you are. So apparently, if you've been sitting around thinking, oh, I wish I had this, oh, I think I have this, and this meaning your own particular gift, the answer very clearly to, I've been told to lean in and say, you do have this. Do not question it any longer. Do not wait for someone to give you permission. Do not wait for an anointing, if you will, from someone who perhaps is a mentor or in a position of authority. If you are feeling deeply that you have a gift, you do. You absolutely do. And so the time for hesitation is past. The world is in a great state of need, as we all know, obviously, from looking at what we see, but even beyond what we can see in current events. There's a lot going on energetically. There's a lot going on for every individual spiritually. And many people are in dire need of your help. Somebody's crew is speaking to them very specifically. Many people are in dire need of your help. And for you to hold back because there is this sense of fear or this kind of self-effacing, oh, no, 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 not me. Oh, I don't know enough. No, that time has passed. And it is time to step forward in confidence, not in this deep self-assurance, but just in a quiet confidence of, well, okay, here I am. Okay, I'm willing. I think I have a gift. I'm willing to step forward. And the question is, for those of us who step forward, are we willing to step forward in a way that is maybe a little bit risky? Are we willing to lay a giant egg? Are we willing to fall on our face? Are we willing to risk making a single little mistake and allow for the possibility that we bring something wonderful or something much needed? I can't emphasize that enough. Like, as I'm sitting here, I'm seeing like rows of your crew sitting. That's how it usually works. They sit and I just see row after row of people's crew, and they are speaking with this sense of, I think the words are loving urgency. Loving in that they know that for some of you, for many of you, this is old hat. You're very comfortable. You operate in this realm. You have no hesitation and no doubt. But who they're speaking to in this moment is the ones who haven't quite yet stepped fully in. And they're saying, we're here. We've got you. We'll hold you. And we can't work unless you allow us to work through you. We cannot do what needs to be done here on the earth realm if you will not be willing to make a mistake, if you will not be willing to step out, if you will not be willing to risk having someone look at you and say, oh, really? You think you do? We all of us, this I know for sure, all of us on this call are deeply spiritually connected. And so there doesn't need to be any fear. We step out. Okay, I think we've got that message. They're going to move on. Okay, now they want to say a word to those of you who have your gifts and who operate in them fully without doubt. Some of you have grown tired. Some of you have grown, I apologize, but this is their word, not mine, jaded. And by jaded, they mean maybe have had too many bad experiences, too many experiences.
More than 1 million kids come up missing per year. What do y'all think happened to these kids? And every time,
and we can answer that.
Missing, the more they release.
Mark, you
noticing that.
And so we'll address that, the 1 million kids that go missing a year. That is absolutely a part of it. People who have the gifts that we have, that you have, absolutely are here to be addressing the deep pains in the world. There's no mistake that that gentleman came on and said what he said. That's the voice of the world, the urgency. Remember they said earlier back on that other message, loving urgency. So we got to hear the voice of urgency. There are people in the world who do not have gifts and they're going to correct me on that.
Now listen, before I leave this, 10 to 15 kids, for the simple, black people is going instinct. I looked on them, it's only 50 fucking million people in the United, 50 million black people. Where the fuck is the blacks? Where is we at?
Well, that's true. Yep, where are you? Stay on the call and mute yourself and let's find out. But So we see the voice of urgency, and we, with our gifts, are called to bring them forth and to bring a sense of balm, of calm, of solace to these people who are suffering. Back to the jaded ones, and I don't mean that you are jaded. That was your crew's word, not mine. But after operating in these gifts for a while, and sometimes as we've operated for many, many years, you know, it's wonderful when we're appreciated. It's not so wonderful when we're not. It's wonderful when people respect our boundaries. It can be exhausting when they don't. And sometimes we might find ourselves saying, you know, I've really done enough with this. I've really, you know, I've done my time, I've given my part. And for some of you, not all of you, don't worry, there's some of you who you can say, yes, I've done my part, but question that. If you think you've really done your part, question that and see, can I move back in my gifts in a different way, in a way where I feel comfortable, where I feel that my own boundaries are not being violated. And by that, I mean, because all of you who operate with these gifts know that the minute word gets out, the phone doesn't stop ringing, and the email fills up and the texts come in, and it feels quite overwhelming. And the need is real. The people who are reaching out are very much in need. But if we don't keep those boundaries, we ourselves begin to feel bankrupt. And we then aren't able to continue. So for the few of you who have stepped back, give it a consideration and maybe step in again, because the need is great. The need is really significant. Okay, let's see where we're going next. 1 second. Okay, I guess we're going to Jim. Your turn. Usually when I do these with an individual, it's with someone who is, hang on a second. I'm sorry. I had my finger up because we were going back to gifts, and they told me to go back there and I forgot. They reminded me. Every one of us in human form walking the planet has a gift. Probably most people here on this call, our gifts are more of a spiritual, psychic, healing, that kind of nature. But there are many other gifts. And it's important that we who have gifts of a spiritual nature that are often recognized, it's important that we also recognize the other gifts. There are people who walk this earth and their gift is the gift of being deeply loving, or incredibly kind, or very giving, or very compassionate. The gentleman who jumped on the call, his gift is the gift of getting our attention. That's a gift. The gift of being a revolutionary is a gift. And so one of the things that's important for us to do is to recognize these gifts in the people who come to us, and to show them their gift and remind them, because people will say, oh, no, you're so gifted, I don't have a gift. Everyone has a gift. And so that's a part of what we can be doing to encourage people. And in so doing, we have changed everything in the world. We have changed the energy. We have changed the nature of things, because as every individual recognizes their gift and operates in their gift, whatever that gift is, everything changes. Everything is made better. No matter how simple or seemingly small their gift is, it matters. It's significant. And so anything that we do that helps people recognize their gift and helps them put their gift into action, or feel encouraged or affirmed or recognized for their gift, that's an important, really important aspect of what we do. Okay, now we get to go to Jim. Usually when I do this, I start out by asking someone either, why are we talking? You know, what's the purpose of our call? What's the reason? Or what's the biggie? You know, what's the big thing we're struggling with? And so, Jim, I'll ask you, what's the biggie?
I don't feel that I'm struggling with anything. I've gotten to a point in my life where I think I understand that the human struggles they're just a temporary thing. Some of them are helpful in our path. You know, the difficulties we go through. Sometimes when you're going through them, they're challenging, but after the fact, I can look back and say I'm thankful for that. So I guess that, you know, I have things that are of interest to me, things that I'm putting my time and effort into. And I suppose it'd be nice to get some affirmation. Where are there specific areas that I should be putting more effort into? You know, and I could explain what kind of things I'm working on, but I can leave it, if you'd rather, I just kind of leave it open-ended and see what comes through.
Sure, let's do. Well, this seems self-evident since we're sitting in this call, but it's going to be beyond this. You work as a gatherer, and obviously you do that as we're all sitting here, thanks to you, but you gather in other areas and on other levels. You gather the gifted people like those here in this call. You are a gatherer of the wounded around you, and you serve them. You seek to facilitate their healing. Yeah, I'm looking for the flaw. There isn't one. Yeah, and you're operating very well in that. There is something that comes up, but I
don't feel that you have to pull any punches. I'm comfortable in who I am, and I'm comfortable in this group of people.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So they keep saying the word health, and so you look very healthy to me, but they keep saying health, and they're saying there's a low level chronic. They're using words like low level, chronic, ongoing, subclinical condition that perhaps has gone unnoticed or pushed off to the side. And in the moment, I'm feeling like my blood feels funny. Yeah. Does that resonate with you at all? And if it doesn't, feel free to say no.
The only thing that I'm aware of in my personal health situation is, you know, I've had both hips replaced, and I now experience a little pain in my knees. I play a lot of sports, and you know, the age I am, with all that I've done over all the years, it's just an accumulation of arthritic knees now that may someday need to be replaced. But I mean, it's just part of aging.
Right.
My wife must be on the line.
I love your wife.
So she's in my life, I guess, to make sure that she keeps me on the right track, I guess, in some areas.
Yes, she does. Okay, and I'm assuming that you are attempting to manage that high cholesterol naturally, or are you managing that? And at any point in time, we can, call time and not go. There's
I,
nothing like having our
I,
medical stuff out there.
I ingest red yeast rice. I don't eat as much red meat as I used to. I don't think my high cholesterol it's not in a range that I need to be taking any kind of statin drugs. I just have to pay attention to it.
Right. How long ago was the hip replacements, or were the hip replacements?
I think 2017 and 2020.
Okay. When did the high cholesterol kick in?
1980. Long time ago.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Because what I'm hearing is there's a, because again, my blood just feels really strange. It just doesn't feel comfortable running through my veins. And so there's a sense that and the word I'm hearing is there's an exacerbating factor.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something that has, and that's why I was trying to link it to the hip replacements. And it kind of let me, I'll slide on that a little bit. But there's this sense that there's an exacerbating factor. There's something in your life that
Talking about me.
oh, am I talking about somebody else? Feel free.
Well, here's a question for you. My wife has a sleeping form of MS. Is it possible that you're reading something through her?
Yeah, I have this immediate urge to weep. That's exactly who I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's
You
exactly.
want to come in and join us?
I'm joined downstairs.
Okay.
That's that's wonderful. I don't see your wife on my screen, which is fine. I don't need to. That's probably better that I don't. Or there she is. Hi, thank you for popping in.
Hi, I'm Queen downstairs.
Queen Fisher shows up as the, okay.
Yeah,
And I've had MS since 1996.
there we go. Yeah, that's you. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, so
So it's possible that that's what you're feeling that's coming through. It's
yeah.
not me so much as it my wife.
No, it absolutely is, because the blood I mean, like my veins feel so uncomfortable. My blood just feels very uncomfortable. And Queen, the minute you spoke up, I had this urge to weep. And so that's how I know we're right on target.
Yeah.
If it's with your permission, and we can move away from this. We don't need to go here, but if it's okay with you, I think your crew wants to offer a few suggestions, some of which may be brand new for you, some of which may be just affirmations of what you're already doing. Is that all right with you?
It's fine.
Okay. Oh, that's funny. I thought they were going to give you physical recommendations, but first they want to assure you of some things. There's no mistake with this MS. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a mistake. It has a very, very clear, very deep purpose, not just for you. I mean, you're important, but the way that your soul is, you would have achieved a spiritual depth with or without this.
Mhm.
And some people encounter difficulties in their life to sort of propel them into a spiritual depth, and that's not you. You came in for depth, and the MS is for the sake of other people in your life, because your experience of MS, I don't want to say pushes, because that sounds a little harsh. Maybe invites is a better word. It invites other people around you to step into a deeper spirituality and a deeper understanding than they otherwise would have. And so in some ways, you taking on this MS, and my sense is that that you take it on with a great deal of, this isn't a word, chipperness. That you really face this with a lot of positivity and a sunny disposition. And I'm sure you have your moments when you don't. But this also, the way that you approach this also not only invites people in your immediate circle into a deeper sense of spirituality, but you're also shedding light for people farther out, friends and acquaintances. It's almost like you're saying to the people who see you, who meet you, even people who just meet you briefly, it's as though you're saying to them, here, come on.
Oh, we lost your your audio.
There, is it
Here.
bad?
Yep.
Oh, good. So it's as though, and you have no intention of necessarily, doing this. You're being you. But as you walk your path, you pull people along in your, you know how bicyclists, have you ever watched the, what's that called? The Tour de France, and the bicyclists, they draft, and you, by like, you're cutting the pathway by you doing what you do, people draft off of you. And it's not, I think I spoke to someone else here before about maybe cutting trail. And you are not necessarily, because cutting trail means going where no one has gone before. This is not what I'm talking about with you. I'm talking about drafting. We create almost this space that pulls other people along faster or with greater ease than they would otherwise be able to travel on their own. And so again, I say that this MS, there's no mistake, there's no accident. And while it is for you not something I'm sure that you would have chosen, when you at some point, and maybe you already see it, what it is doing for your family in terms of spirituality and close friends, and then the people around you who are propelled forward. It's almost as though you're propelling people along who could not or would not be able to complete their journey or their path. They just have lost the strength, but they just kind of tuck right in behind you in the peloton, and they're pulled along, and they are able to continue and to complete their path because of you, because of who you are, because of how you walk your path. And so again, I will say the MS is no mistake. It has a very deep purpose. Feel free if you want to say something or ask something.
Well, I've been lucky that in 2018, my neurologist said my scans have not changed in 12 years. So I went off the medication, and she diagnosed me with gentle MS.
Wonderful.
So I'm one of the very lucky ones.
So maybe the purpose of the MS, just hypothesizing, back when it was much more pronounced, that's where the benefit that she gave to others was most pronounced. And now that she's into a quieter form.
I've had several people talk to me about MS and the symptoms, and hoping that a relative of theirs or a friend of theirs was displaying certain symptoms. And so they would talk to me about MS.
Right.
And whether their symptoms match.
There's that breaking trail.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's exactly it, Jim. You're right. So it's the part of the initial, when it was scary, that's the part, as you said, Jim, that sort of pulled people into a deeper sense of spirituality. But yes, as you are now, because when the lead person in the peloton, the lead biker in the peloton finds their stride, they're working, but they've also really hit their stride. And yeah, you have really hit your stride. And so you may not see it, but so think about it. Since your physician was able to diagnose you as gentle MS, she's able to tell other people, oh, this can happen to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so your life is creating this great sense of hope for people and of possibility. That's how you pull them along. You know, it goes to that old thing where when people were trying to break, was it the 5-minute mile or the 4-minute mile? I can't remember. Was it 4-minute? And no one could do it, and no one could do it. And finally, when someone broke it, then right after, then the next person and the next person and the next person. And so, Queen, you're breaking the 4-minute mile with your gentle MS, and you're pulling people along with you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for stepping up when I couldn't tell whose funky blood I was feeling. That's wonderful. It feels, if that's all right with you, Jim, and if it's not premature, I feel like it's okay to see if anyone has any questions, whether it's about their own whatever it is, because I'm always happy. We ask the question, sometimes we get an answer, sometimes we don't. But
if anybody would like to, maybe we ought to have people raise their hands. We have enough people here. If somebody wants to raise a hand, I'll call on you and you can pose your question.